Hey guys, welcome back to another review session. I'm your host, Ms. Bayakem. So today we'll be reviewing the second half of the CXC 2016 HSB past paper. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and also leave a comment to let us know if our content is useful to you in any way. Let us begin. So, question 31. Item 31 refers to the following diagram, which shows a section through a human brain. The part of the brain labeled W is responsible for the following processes. So we have I, learning and memory, 2, balance and muscular coordination, 3, sight and hearing. So if we look at W, so this is where the sensory activity would be. So sight, hearing, all of those senses. And then based on this part, this is where intellectual thinking would happen. So it would definitely be I, learning and memory, and sight and hearing. So that's 1 and 3, and that is B. All right, B. Question 32. Items 32 refers to the following diagram, which shows a sensory neuron. The axon is labeled by, so based on this diagram, the axon would definitely be all of this. And if you look at it, you can see that I is also pointing on an axon and 3 is pointing on the axon. So the answer could either be I or 3, all right? So for me, I'm thinking it could be both of them. I think this is an error on CXC's part. 33. Which of the following statements are correct about neurons? A, neurons are physically joined together. B, the nerve endings of a motor neuron is found in the muscle. C, impulses are transported across synapses by neurotransmitters. D, nerve bundles of neurons carry chemical impulses to and from the brain. So the answer is definitely B. The nerve endings of a motor neuron is found in the muscle. Question 34. Items 34 refers to the information in the table. So as usual, go to the question. Which of the following conclusion can be drawn from the table about voluntary and involuntary action? So we have A, voluntary actions are well thought out. B, A, involuntary actions are well thought out. B, voluntary actions are automatic. C, voluntary actions ensure survival. D, involuntary actions are automatic. So we go to the table. So the action, so it's voluntary and involuntary. So we have blinking when an object is approaching the eye. So it's involuntary, yes. Swallowing, involuntary. Jogging, voluntary. Sending an email, voluntary. Okay. So based on this table, which one of these are true? All right. So let's just go again. So A, involuntary action are well thought out. That's no, so that's out of it. B, voluntary actions are automatic. C, voluntary actions ensure survival. And then D, involuntary actions are automatic. So the answer would definitely be D, because involuntary actions are automatic, meaning that you don't think about them, but you actually do them. You don't think that you're doing it. You don't think about blinking your eye, but your eye is blinking. All right, so those are involuntary. So 35. When viewing a distant object, the ciliary muscle A, relaxes and the lens flattens. B, relaxes and then the lens bulges. C, contracts and the lens flattens. And then D, contracts and the lens bulges. So the answer is A, relaxes and the lens flattens. All right. Question 36. Which of the following diagrams shows the lens used to correct short-sightedness when viewing distant object? So we have to look at the diagrams. So these are the diagrams. I'm going to go down a little more. So diagrams for short-sightedness. So if you're looking at the diagrams, you should realize that we have different lenses, all right? So A and B would be out of it because they're both showing converging lenses, and those lenses are used to correct long-sightedness or hypermetropia. So we're stuck between C and D, that is used to treat short-sightedness or myopia. All right. So what we should know? So we should know that the light from the near object is focused on the retina, all right? The light from distant object is focused in front of the retina. And this is going to cause the eyeball to be too long from front to back, or the lens being too curved. And that's why we utilize these curved lenses, all right? So they're asking us to view or to correct short-sightedness for distant object based on what I just said. So it's the light from distant object is focused in front of the retina. So I already know that it should end in front of the retina. All right. So the retina would be somewhere here. So it should end in front of the retina. So both of them end there. So we have to look for differences now. They both have the same lens. Okay. So the only difference is the structure here, and the direction of how the person is viewing the object, or rather the light from the object. So now what we must realize is that in the diverging lens is going to bend the light rays outwards before entering the eye. So if you can look at the first one, which is C, you realize that it is bent inwards. So the answer would be D, because D is bent outwards. See that? Outwards. This one is in. You see the curve? Like, let me see if I can highlight it a little better. See that curve? While this one is almost like it's saying up. This needs to go. Erase. Let me try again. So it's more like it goes up this way and then it's going down. And the same thing for here. You can almost see like a V here. All right. So it is not going inwards, but this one is going outwards. So the answer would be D. All right. So D. Item 37 refers to the following information. Semen contains sperm cells in the seminal fluid. The following steps are involved in semen formation. So 37. Which of the following shows the correct sequence for semen formation? So we have I, passage of sperm along the sperm duct. 2, secretion from the seminal vesicle. 3, meiosis in the testes, and then 4, secretion from the prostate gland. So one of the first things that would happen is meiosis in the testes, because the cells have to replicate and divide, basically. So they have to undergo meiosis. All right, sex cells undergo meiosis. Then another thing will happen is that they have to pass from the passage, so I next. So the passage of sperm along the sperm duct. All right. And then after that, 2, secretion from the seminal vesicle. And then 4, secretion from the prostate gland. So the answer would be D. All right. 38. A disadvantage of using an intrauterine device is that it is A, comfortable, B, must be inserted by a doctor, C, is an effective method of birth control, D, causes sterility after removal. So we're looking for a disadvantage. So the answer is definitely B. It must be inserted by a doctor. All right. So question 39. Which of the following is the least reliable contraceptive? So we have A, female condom, B, tubal ligation, C, contraceptive pill, and then D, intrauterine device, the intrauterine device. So the answer is definitely the intrauterine device. So it's D, and then this one would be B. I didn't circle it, but it's D. So question 40. The main reason for practicing family planning is to A, make families richer, B, improve the GDP of a country, C, give individuals more leisure time, and then D, ensure resources for future generations. So the answer is D, ensure resources for future generations. So 41. Which of the following statements about meiosis is true? A, it occurs in the uterus. B, 4 daughter cells are produced. C, it produces genetically identical cells. D, daughter cells have the same number of chromosomes as the parent cells. So the only thing that I see here that is true is for meiosis, 4 daughter cells is produced. Question 42. Items 42 refers to the following graph, which shows changes in the population of bacteria when an antibiotic is administered. Go to the question. The population of bacteria at a point X survive most likely because, so we have A, their genotype made them less susceptible. B, their phenotype made them resistant. C, not enough antibiotic was administered. D, there was more food, water, and space available to them. So the question was again, the population of bacteria at point X, so this is X, survived most likely because, okay, so they survived. I would say A, their genotype made them less susceptible, meaning that they have mutated and the antibiotic no longer work on these bacteria that have survived. All right. Question 43. A tall man with capital T and a short woman with common T have 2 children. Which of the following options indicate the phenotype of the children? So we have A, both tall, B, both capital T, C, 1 capital T and 1 common T, and D, 1 tall and 1 short. So I went ahead and I did the genetic crossing using a Punnett square for us. So it's the same thing. So we have TT meaning the male or the tall man, and common T meaning the female or the short woman. So if we were to cross it, this common T times this T, we would get capital T, common T. So you can see that all the children will be capital T, common T. But because they asked us for the phenotype, and the phenotypes are physical characteristics that are expressed, meaning that they are shown, you can actually look at a person and see their phenotype. So some examples like the skin type, your hair color, and when I say skin type, I mean skin color, your hair color, eye color. Those are some things you can look at a person and tell, you can determine those color. So now, as we can see that we have the capital T representing tall and the common T representing short, and all of these alleles, all of these children have capital T in their genotype, which would mean that if we were talking about the phenotype, that it would still mean that the child or the children rather are tall. So the answer has to be A, because we're talking about the phenotype and we can actually see the tallness, or we can see how tall or short somebody is. And having a capital T here means that these children are still tall, but they do they're carriers for the shortness. All right, so the answer is A. Moving on. 44. A man and his wife have 3 male children. What is the probability that their next child will be a female? So to do this, we have to also do the genetic cross. So males normally have the allele X and Y. So their chromosomes are X and Y, while the female X and X. So I already did the cross. So X times X give us XX, X times Y give us XY. And we can see that would have 2 females and 2 males. So that would mean that we have a probability, or we can, of 2 out of the 4 children. So half of them will be males, half of them will be females, which would be half. So 20 of 1, 24 half. So the answer would definitely be B. That's the probability. Item 45 refers to the following factors. So, question: the above factors are most likely considered risk for A, asthma, B, arthritis, C, infectious disease, D, cardiovascular disease. So we have diabetes as I, 2, obesity, 3, stress, 4, genetic predisposition, so it's heart disease, cardiovascular diseases. And 46. Items 46 to 47 refers to the following information. And 46 is which statements are true about cholera. So let us read through the statements. So I, it is caused by a bacterium. 2, persons practicing poor hygiene are more susceptible. 3, can be fatal without medical treatment. IV involves formation of ulcer. So everything would be true except IV. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and that is C. So 46 is C. 47 now. Which statement is not true of syphilis? So we're still using the same. So thinking about syphilis now, it is caused by a bacterium. Yes. 2, persons practicing poor hygiene are more susceptible. And then 3, can be fatal without medical treatment. Yes. 2, involves formation of ulcers. Yes. So the one that is out would be 2. So 47 is 2, which is B. 48. Antiretroviral drugs are used to A, cure HIV, B, cure pneumonia, C, prevent secondary infection, D, control the reproduction of the human immunodeficiency virus, which is HIV. So that's 48 is D. 49. The Anopheles mosquito is known for the spread of the A, dengue, B, malaria, C, cholera, D, gastroenteritis. So the answer is malaria. And 50. Dengue can be controlled by I, vaccination, 2, taking aspirin, 3, getting rid of stagnant water, 4, spreading a thin layer of oil on stored water. So the answer is 3 and 4, getting rid of stagnant water and spreading a thin layer of oil. So that's C. Items 51 to 52 refers to the following terms. In answering items 51 to 52, each option may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Which term refers to a? And 51 is a protein produced by blood plasma cells derived from B lymphocytes, and that's definitely A, antibody. So that's A. So 51 is A. So because I know this, and so 51 is A. So we have B, antibiotics, C, antitoxin, and D, antiserum. So 52, substance produced by the body to neutralize toxin. And that's C, antitoxin. (53) Natural passive immunity involves A long-lived immunity, B, exposure to the pathogen, C, antibodies being passed to a child via the placenta, D, antibodies being passed to a mother via the placenta. So we're asking about natural passive immunity, and the answer is C, antibodies being passed to a child via the placenta. 54. Air pollution can be reduced by A, deforestation, B, using lead fuel, C, avoiding carpooling, D, installing catalytic converters in cars. So they're asking what can reduce air pollution, and the answer is D, installing catalytic converters in cars. All right. 55. After a flood, the best method of removing bacteria from the water for drinking purpose is A, boiling, B, filtering, C, settling, D, addition of chlorine. So they're asking us the best method, so the answer would be boiling. 56. Items 56 refer to the following diagram of the water cycle. Thinking about the water cycle, so they're asking us, transpiration is represented by, so go to the water cycle now, transpiration, the loss of water from plants, so it would be 2. This is where the plant is, so it has to be 2. All right, so that's 2, which is B. 57. In large-scale water purification, the formation of acid which destroys organisms is achieved by the process of A, screening, B, filtration, C, chlorination, D, sedimentation. So they're talking about water purification. The formation of acid which destroys organisms is achieved by, has to be chlorination. So 58. Which of the following refers to a proper method of sewage disposal? So we have A, drop latrine, B, surface latrine, C, pit latrine in clay, and then D, water carriage system. So the answer is D, the water carriage system. And 59. Which of the following activities are part of the biological filter method of sewage treatment? So we have I, sewage is pumped into a tank containing concrete stone. 2, bacteria and protozoa feed on sewage. 3, the sewage is aerated and mixed with a paddle. So the answer is I and 2. So I, sewage is pumped into a tank containing concrete stone, and 2, bacteria and protozoa feed on the sewage. So question 60. Compaction is done at landfills in order to A, control the dust, B, control the smell, C, get rid of spaces that may harbor pests, D, recover materials that are sent to be recycled. So the answer is C. So we're at the end of another review session. Please stay tuned for next time when we do the 2017 HSB CXC past paper. I'm your host, Ms. Baikem. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.